All right, what's up, guys? VV back with another video. And in today's video, guys, we are going to be checking out Purple Yellow Nico Robin. Okay, a little bit of OP-09 action. I know a lot of people don't like seeing the spoilers. A lot of people don't like seeing the new stuff until we have access to it. And I understand that, but hey, I like to keep ahead of the curve, right? I like to know what to expect going forward. But one thing I will say about Nico Robin real quick, guys, is this will not be a comprehensive guide because of a few reasons. Number one, the leader hasn't been figured out yet, right? And number two, because it hasn't been figured out, this kind of goes directly in line with that. This leader's not exactly popping off, you know, on the ladder or in the sim or in tournaments, okay? But we're going to dive into this leader to kind of get an idea. This will be like an exploratory style video where we try to see what might work for Purple Yellow Nico Robin. I've got some games on the sim. Actually, I'm getting ahead of myself, guys. Let me give you a heads up what we're getting into today. First things first, we will be heading over to the lab, and we're going to check out a game of Red Yellow Sabo versus Blue Doflamingo. That should be very exciting. We'll see what we can learn from that, because I do expect to see a lot of Blue Doflamingos very soon here for us in the West in OP-08.5, which is a little over 2 weeks away now. Okay, now from the sim, we're going to head over to OnePieceTopDecks.com because there is a single Purple Yellow Nico Robin deck for us to analyze and try to get some ideas from it. Then we're going to head over to the sim. We're going to do 3 games on the sim of me playing Purple Yellow Nico Robin. And let me tell you this right now, I am not running anything remotely close to what we're going to be looking at today on OnePieceTopDecks.com. I personally don't think they're building it in the right direction, but we'll see, right? You know, that's the whole purpose of today's video is like, let's see what we can figure out with this leader, see what direction we need to build it. And then last but not least, we will finish off with the deck list that I'm running, and we'll talk about it, we'll break it down, and we'll wrap it up in that way. Okay, guys? As usual, I will have everything time-stamped in the general description, and I will have all relevant deck lists and links down in the comment section below. All right, guys, let's go ahead and dive into this. You know what we're getting into? A little bit of OP-09 spoilers, so, you know, brace yourself for that if you don't want to see any spoilers yet. Okay, let me go ahead and move this. And this person recorded in a very small resolution, so that's why it's very small like this, guys, which is not a big deal. Now, for anyone who might be wondering, well, what is the VV Lab? What are we doing right now? For any of the new listeners, this portion of the video, I try to designate the very first part of each video to something I call the lab, okay? And in this portion of the video, I actually review community-submitted games, okay? So this is not me playing. This is someone who's trying to get better at the game, and they're like, hey, what do you think I should do in this game? Or how do you think I did in this game? Or what could I have done differently? Just trying to, you know, give basically like free coaching, okay? So if you are interested in me reviewing your game, no problem. It's completely free of charge, but here's all you have to do. Record a game, okay, preferably in a larger resolution than this, but hey, we make do. You know, I'm not complaining, but I'm just saying preferably in a larger resolution so that we can see a little bit better. So record the game you're playing, upload it to YouTube, and then head over to the VV Theory Discord, okay, and post your game, post the link under the Review My Games channel, okay, and as soon as I see it, I give you the thumbs up, and then I throw it in line, guys. I've got like 9 pages of stuff I've been going through with these games. So whenever it's your turn, it's your turn. It's basically just, you know, first come, first serve. I don't pick these based on like, oh, I want to do this matchup. Nope, I just go, you know, first come, first serve, right down the list. Okay, and if there's any other questions, just ask down in the comment section below. Now, let's head into this, guys. I've got the volume off already. The speed I have on 2x speed. Now I do. I didn't before. And the quality's up. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into this game. So we've got a game here of Red Yellow Sabo versus Blue Doflamingo. And it looks like the Sabo player won the dice roll and chose to go first. Okay, the Sabo player chose to go first. They're going to swing for 5 first. Because of that right there. It looks like, oh, that's funny. They got a, oh, that's probably what this is. I think they're playing on their phone. Maybe that's why the resolution is so low. I think this person is recording and doing it on their, you know, recording this game on their phone. Very cool, because they just got a notification from the VV Theory Discord when they were recording, you know, talking about whatever. Okay, let's keep going. Now, always, so that's what I was saying. Very nice. We got a trigger there, and we should absolutely use that trigger. Now, real quick, something did happen. We did have a slight inaccuracy right here. Let me go ahead and bust out the old chess accuracy meter over here. So we had a slight inaccuracy here where we should, okay, so it's our turn. We're going to, we played out the Bonnie first, which is a mistake. That's actually, yeah, it's actually not an inaccuracy. It's a mistake in this situation because we can swing for 5 first and not have to worry about any triggers. But instead, we played out the Bonnie, swung for 5. They took it very greedily, but hey, it paid off because then they got a trigger to bottom deck a 4 cost or lower character to our deck, right? It got to bottom deck one of our characters. Okay, now let's keep going. So swing for 5 here. It looks like we're going to take this. We get a trigger. Very nice. Go ahead and trash the Kikanojo. I do agree with that. I think that was right. Oh, let me go ahead and move the accuracy meter. Sorry, guys. So very good. They go ahead and swing for 5. They play out a Jinbei, cheating out a Edward Weevil. Okay, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And imagine how much stronger this turn could have been. Well, I guess not this turn necessarily, but the following turn. No, actually, I think this turn it would have been very good as well. But hear me out. I was going to say, what I think we should have actually done here, imagine if the Bonnie had survived. Instead of attaching 1 Dawn to our leader here, we would attach 1 Dawn to Bonnie, and then we would swing for 7 at face here, KOing the Weevil, just like you did with the Koala combination there, and then we'd be able to swing 5 more at face, and one of those is bound to get through, or they're going to be down to 3 cards in hand, and that is also something we'd be fine with, and at that point we could swing for 5 with the Bonnie and get them down to 2 cards in hand, and now they're having to battle into our board with their leader in the Jinbei. Very nice, though. This is excellent, and now we're going to be able to put the Lindbergh on top of our life. Swing for 6, they 2K counter out. Swing for 7, popping the Weevil, pushing the Lindbergh back to life. Very nice. Okay, so let's see what happens here, and we still have the Koala. Okay, nice. I was going to say, definitely counter out of that first one. Very smart, very smart. Now it's actually kind of scary. Like, what do we want to trash from our hand? Both of these are really good cards, right? Okay, I was going to say we had 2 really good cards and a 2K counter, but we chose to just counter out. So I would have taken that. They did not have 7 Dawn, so they couldn't Gravity Blade. And the chances of them using a Red Rock on your Lindbergh, we're fine with that if they chose to do that, right? However, you know, not a big deal. We're going to be on 7 Dawn this next turn. And we're going to be able to get pretty aggressive here going into the board and going into life. And we're up to 4 life. Okay, so let's see what happens here. Right now, the Doflamingo player is setting their top 5 cards in their deck with the Perona. Okay, that's all we're waiting on currently. And they did develop a Jinbei plus Gecko Moria. The 4 costs 6K. 6 into 5. Beautiful. They give us a 2K counter. We will take it every single time. Okay, I feel like we had a miscalculation there. Yeah, now we're going to have to play out. Notice, we did... Hang on. So that was a massive miscalculation, unfortunately. So what we should have done there with the set... So we had 6 Dawn left, right? Let me see. 3, 4, 5, 6. So the way that this turn should have gone, and this is just my personal opinion, it should have been swing 7... Like, play out the Zoro, swing 7 into the Jinbei. They're probably going to let it go, right? If they don't, perfect. That's what we want. We want to eat up their entire hand. So then, after you do that, after the 7 into Jinbei, what you do is you attach it onto your leader, life the Zoro, give plus 2,000 to the Koala, and you swing in. I would swing in for 5 into the Jinbei if it somehow survived. Otherwise, go to face. Then attach the final Dawn to your leader, so it would have been a 7-7-5 attack at our opponent, and we go up to 5 life, and it's like, please give us a rush card back. But this is an alternate play. I shouldn't say that last play was a play mistake. It was just a different way to do it, a way that I don't necessarily recommend. Especially letting them have the Jinbei now, because we weren't able to stop it. Okay, they bottom deck their own card there, their own Perona. That was interesting. Okay, maybe they thought it returns it back to the owner's hand. But okay, they're going to swing for 5. I don't know if I'd use the trigger. I don't know. I don't know if I'd use the trigger. Okay, man, that's unfortunate. Nice. Okay, that's a pretty good card here. Okay, looks like they're getting a bunch of notifications. Okay, y'all can't see it. Perfect. I was going to say they're getting like phone notifications, which is really funny. Okay, so here we go. We got a Neko Mamushi from life. Very good. Now, we don't have a trigger in our hand, but yeah, I think this is definitely a turn for the Rayleigh. Right here, I think we need to start smashing. We have to get this board cleared up. Oh, thank goodness. So they were not able to save that. We're going to push a card back to life here. Swing 7 at life. Very nice. Popping that card. Don't swing with the Nekomamushi. Excellent. Now, whatever they play next turn, we are going to be able to clean up whatever they play next turn. Okay. And we have a blocker, and I would probably use it here. If they swing in, I would probably use the blocker right here. Okay, that's fine too. I would just try to save that character as much as possible. They are going to Gravity Blade. We knew they were going to do that. And that was kind of why I was saying use the blocker, but I guess it didn't matter in the end anyway. Because if you had blocked, you'd lost a body and they removed the other two. Not a big deal. Okay, 3 Dawn. Yeah, just smash. I was going to say that's the only play here. But that does allow us to deal with this board if we play out the... Okay, I like the 7-cost Linlen as well. Let me go ahead and pause for just a second, guys. So I actually like the Rayleigh a little bit better. Hear me out. I think the Rayleigh... I'm not saying that one's necessarily better than the other, by the way. I like the Rayleigh here because it's like, okay, minus 3,000 to your there's a fly in here. There's always like a fly right now. Okay, minus 3,000 to the boa, and then you can swing 7 into 5. And otherwise, the bow is a 5 on the other turn anyway, and then you can still life the Rayleigh, whatever the case is, if you need to. They choose to trash a life. Okay, now 8 into boa. Okay, interesting. 8 into face. All right, here we go. Get them on 1 life. That was weird. They it's like they thought that you attacked into boa, but it was you were going at face there. They trash a pudding for absolutely no reason. But hey, that pudding's dead in hand anyway. I think that thing's not going to help them. If they don't have a blocker here, it's just over. We take that. They have to have a blocker, but I don't think they realize it doesn't matter. Yeah, I'd play that out. Why not? Throw away the the 7-lin. Very good. Okay, so that was an interesting end there. Real quick, let me see something. So right here, I like the swinging 8 at life here, since you were going to life the Linlen. I think that was fine, especially since they trashed the life. So let me say this right now. In this situation right here, what I would have done, number one, I'd have played out the Rayleigh and swung 7 into 5 and tried to clear their board and gone for lethal next turn or something like that, because I would have never tossed my Zoro. Zoro is too good at finishing out games. And then life the Rayleigh if needed, right? Now, real quick, what I would have, like I said, let me finish my thought there, actually, excuse me. I would have played out the Rayleigh for 8. 2 Dawn left, attach 2 to the leader, swing 7 into a 5k body, because remember, minus 3 to the boa means we can swing 7 into it. If they give us 2 cards out of hand, then I life the Rayleigh so I can't lose next turn, and now the next turn, we do it again, right? We just keep doing it until we finally get every card out of their hand, or if we get another way to win the game. But in this situation, they okay, hang on, I'm going to skip to the end. But playing out the Charlotte Linlen for 7, that's also very good. And if you gained a life here, then I would have just swung 8 into the Boa Hancock and gone about things that way. But they chose to lose a life. So I do actually, like, after thinking about it again, I do like swinging 8 into life here because, hey, that's going to cost, it's going to cost 2 cards from their hand, bare minimum. They messed up throwing away the pudding, but again, that pudding wouldn't have mattered. And then now we can just gain a life back. Because if we didn't gain a life there, we're probably just going to lose the game, right? Okay. So let's see what happens here. Swing 8, we saw, okay, and then we saw this, and then they end up giving up because, okay, we're just going to load up 15 on leader and just smash in. And we got a trigger as well. It's like, hey, man, it's going to be swing 5, swing 15, GG. Okay, and the opponent did say GG, the Doffy. Very good stuff there. Okay, now give me just a second to get set up. Be like this. Got to move my head over to here. Move this. And we're going to check out the only game that we have the only deck that we have available currently for purple, yellow, Nico, Robin. So I'm going to sort by deck profile, and notice let me show you guys. We're on OnePieceTopDecks.com over on the OP-09 Eastern meta, because that's the only place we can find decks right now on Nico Robin. I'm going to sort by deck profile, and then I'm going to sort by 100. And I guess you could just put in the deck profile like this, but I'm just going to show you guys, like, okay, here's a bunch of stuff. You can pause and look at these if you need to. Nothing too special to look at here, but then we're going to go to the next page, and that's where the Nico Robin is, which is right here. So this is the only deck that got a first place finish in the East so far for Nico Robin. However, this is in a 3v3 tournament. Do y'all see that? Is my head in the way? No, y'all can see it. Okay, this is in a 3v3 tournament, so I don't know how many games they won. I have absolutely no idea how good this deck actually is. But let's go ahead and read what the leader does, and then we'll go from there. This is a 5,000 power 4-life purple-yellow leader with banish. Like, just anytime this leader attacks, you can banish a card from their life if it hits. And then when attacking, you may trash 1 card with a trigger from your hand and add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set it as rested. Now, I will say this. I think the second ability is a trap. And you're going to see that in this deck we're looking at here. Notice how they've got 9 cost Yamato, 10 cost Ace, 9-cost Luffy, and it looks like what they're trying to do with this version of the deck is just always swing 5 at leader, so that way you force a card out of their hand every single turn, and then, or a card from life. We take that as well, right? Because it goes to the trash. And then they're just probably ramping every single turn. In order to ramp, though, you have to trash a card with trigger. Now, there's a card we have to consider in Nami. This card has trigger synergy as well, where you have to trash triggers from your hand in order to KO 5 or less. And if you have 3 or less cards in your hand on resolution, you get to draw a card. Okay? So I think this is a absolute 4 of in the deck. And because you need so many triggers, a card like Dureshi is also a 4 of in the deck. Because anytime you have a high trigger count, and by the way, we're going to talk about Nico Robin in a minute, guys. Hang on. But Dureshi, this card, pause and read this if you don't know what this does, guys. Trigger is draw 1 card. That's already fine. Like, trigger drawing a card is never a bad thing. But guys, top 5 search for trigger cards, draw 2 of them. And then put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. Absolutely outstanding. And I don't know if this is worth it, guys. Like, this card here is very cool, and I love the art. The art looks amazing. But I think this person is probably, and hey, I don't know how well they did. Again, this was in a 3v3 tournament, and his team did get first place. But I don't know what his record was, or this individual. I don't know what their record was. Now, let's go ahead and run through the list, and we'll talk about it. 4 beige. Now, this is excellent because this is a 2K counter with a trigger, so that's perfect for our leader effect and for our Nami synergy. 4 Yamatos, 3 Gadatsus. Now, this one, I really don't understand this because I actually play it way more aggressively than this person probably does. But we'll talk about it more in a minute. 4 Frankie, again, perfect. It's a 2K counter with a trigger, and it's actually a very relevant trigger because you can always draw a card with it. But if you have 1 or less life left, you can play this card as well while drawing one card. Okay. 4 Ace, I get what they're trying to do. You can tell they're trying to ramp to these bigger cards. Not a horrible idea, not a horrible strategy. It is consistent ramp, I will say that. And then they're running 4 Nami, 4 of the Nico Olvia. Pause and read this. This is a great utility 2K counter, and it has draw 3, trash 2 as a trigger. That trigger's outstanding. The trigger's out of this world. 4 Nico Robin. Pause and read this. We're about to talk about this one, don't worry. 4 Jaguar D Saul, incredible. 4 Zoro. I almost tried to pronounce the first name there. You never do that. No, I'm just kidding. That is such a hard one to pronounce. And then we have 3 of the 9-cost Luffy. 4 You're the One Who Should Disappear, and 4 Dureshi. Let me make sure. Yeah, it is 51 cards. Okay, so real quick, I want to talk about this card. There's things I want to talk about that this deck I don't feel like is fully utilizing to its fullest potential. Number 1, there's no Bonnie in here. There is beige. This is a good call. I do like the beige, and because of beige, I actually would rather run something like over the Ace, or maybe over, I don't know, maybe even over the 9-cost Luffy. I would actually prefer Katakuri over that because of this card right here. Okay, number 1, let me just read what it does. It's a 6-cost, 6K, 1,000 counter. On play, if your opponent has 3 or more life cards, trash up to 1 card from the top of your opponent's life cards. But look at the trigger, guys. When we're trying to make a deck work, there has to be all of this synergy throughout, or it doesn't feel right, or it doesn't feel strong, right? Look at this trigger, guys. Play up to 1 cost 3 or less yellow character from your hand. Okay, well, we only have a few targets for that in this deck. Beige, like I said, and of course Jaguar D Saul. This is like, I think so notice what this says. The trigger on this card is if your leader is Nico Robin and play this card. This card is what the entire idea was built around, along with this Nico Robin, and of course with Nico Olvia as well. It's all built around this Nico Robin theme, which is really strong. So why don't we capitalize on that? Well, Nami immediately capitalizes on that. And can you guys think of another 3-cost card? And by the way, it is a 3-cost or less yellow character. I should have specified play up to 1 cost 3 or less yellow character card from your hand. But we want to get 3-cost cards because those are the biggest ones we can get. However, it does need to be stated that, hey, this on-play effect is until the end of turn, okay? Check this out. Let's just say your last life was this Nico Robin, right? Let's just say your last life was Nico Robin. Okay, if you on-play this, up to 1 of your leader Nico Robins get plus 3,000 power during this turn. So it will act as a plus 3,000 power counter, or however you want to say that, until the end of turn. You'll be an 8,000 power leader. So I like the 3 cards that we have in here that have synergy with the Nico Robin, but I think there's one card where we are like missing that is so strong. Can you guys guess what it is? A certain yellow 3-cost card that has a trigger. Jewelry Bonnie. Okay, it's a 3-cost, 4,000 power, 1k counter, trigger, draw 2, trash 1, and, you know, attach 1 Dawn when your opponent loses a life, draw 2, trash 1. It just seems so good. And in this deck, it has an added level of synergy, right? A whole nother tier, a whole nother level, you know, of how it resonates with this effect. You know, so very, very good stuff there. Other than that, I do think this is a little much. I don't... Why do we need... So here's the thing. I think we need more banished characters in the game. I do think those need to exist, but not in our deck because we actually have Nico Robin built in. And if I were to actually run this list, I would immediately remove this card for 4 of the Onamis that can give a character banished for the turn. So that way they don't see it coming. So that way if I play out a Gadatsu on curve, you know, so let's just say it's a 5 Dawn turn for me. Let me see something, which can be... Well, no, I can't really ramp to that like I'd want to. It'd be on turn 3 no matter what. But let's just say I swing for 5 with the Nico Robin, and then let's just say I play out the Gadatsu and pop one of their characters. Or I'd probably play this out first just in case they took it, pop one of their characters as needed, then swing with Nico Robin. After that, on the next turn, I could swing for 7 with Nico Robin, right? That's a 2 Dawn investment. It'd be our 7 or 8 Dawn turn, depending. And then with another 2 Dawn, I could play out an Onami and then give Gadatsu banish and swing for like 9 if I needed to. Whatever I have to. You know, whatever I have to try to get some damage through and to start taking cards out of their hand. And that's all I'm trying to say is, like, I think this is a really cool card. And in a purple deck, like a purple Straw Hats deck, which I do know Nico Robin is Straw Hat, but I'm just saying, like, in a normal purple Straw Hat deck, I think that card's excellent. But I don't feel like we need it in Nico Robin, and I would actually much rather have Onami in the place of this card, because Onami is a 1k counter. Onami gives a card banish, so it's almost like it's almost like Rush Banish. And then on top of that, it is also a trigger, and I guess it's not really great for the Nico Robin effect, the character effect, but still, technically it's still a card you could cheat into play if you needed to. Like if you were trying to go for lethal next turn, it is a card you could cheat into play. So, you know, I don't know, just something to think about. But yeah, other than that, there's not a whole lot to talk about. If I had to guess what they're trying to do with this list, they're probably just trying to ramp every single turn. So, you know, let's just say they go first. It'll be 1 Dawn into 4 Dawn into 7 Dawn into 9 Dawn, right? Or, yeah, 7 into 9 is pretty much where it stops. Because I guess you can ramp into 10 Dawn, but you wouldn't be able to use it on that turn because it comes into play rested. But going 1, 4, 7 is very strong, right? Going 1, 4, 7 is very strong because then you get to your 9 Dawn turn very, very quickly. And if you're going second, then it could be 2 into 5 into 8 into 10. So you know, it ends up being a turn 4 10 drop character, which is very strong. But is that the biggest strength in this deck? And that's where I have, you know, that's where red flags come up for me. It's like, well, no, not really. I have banish built in, and I have to have trigger cards in my deck already to even ramp. But what should we be ramping to? So with that in mind, let's go ahead and head over to the games on the sim. And I'm going to show you guys what I think we should be ramping into, at least what I'm going to be messing around with ramping into. I'm not saying we shouldn't have anything. I'm not saying we shouldn't have like something to ramp into. I do think we should, but I don't know if it needs to be a 9 or 10 cost character. Maybe it needs to be like just a 7 cost character like 7-Lin. Because if we're going second, think about that, guys. Excuse me. No, it'd be if we're going first, right? Hang on. 1, 4. No, it still wouldn't work out quite right with the 7, but still. All right, hear me out. Let's watch these games and we'll talk about it more as we get into it. Okay, so the volume is off. The speed is on 2x. Yep, and here we go. So first game up here, we've got a game versus Black Yellow Luffy. And we can actually attack into his life and not be too punished. It is still punishing to lower their life, but I think you'll see what I'm saying. Okay, so right here I'm going to counter out early because I want to get them down to 3 life before I let him start hitting me, because I want to be able to get my Land of Wano triggers. Because notice I'm running Neko Mamushi, I'm running Kikanojo. Okay, they do a top 5 search with the Garp, and I'm going to swing for 5. Let's see what they choose to do. Do they want to take it? Apparently not. I'm going to play out the Kikanojo, and now I am going to have to take his next hit here more than likely, unless he just swings for 5 and plays out a 5 cost. I still might take it, though. I'm really considering it. Nope. All right, so we go ahead and counter out. Again, I don't want to do that until I can get full value. Okay, so this is a fun turn here. So right here, I think I'm just going to swing for 5. So watch this. Swing for 5. Use your blocker, please. I need you to use your blocker here, sir. And I think he does. Because it kind of saves him a card. Perfect. Now we'll swing 6 into the Sabo. Would you like to counter out and go down to 4 cards? Or would you like to let this go and give me board control back? It's his choice. Either one's fine with me. Nico, Robin, we'll have him trash the top card. It was a Gecko Moria. Very devastating. They want their Gecko Morias. Let me tell you that right now, guys. Black Yellow Luffy needs the Gecko Moria to really keep the engine going. Not that it's like the end of the game or anything, but I'm just saying that was... Because he might have another one in hand for all we know. But whatever the case is, that is not a card they wanted to get trashed. Okay, and I will say this, guys. So the 6-cost Nico Robin is an absolute star in this deck. Okay, we got a Dureshi there. I'm not going to use the trigger because I'd actually rather draw 3 and trash 2 with it, or do a top 5 search and draw 2 with it. And okay, perfect. I've got my Nami still. That is a card you have to get off the board, guys. You have to get the 5-cost Luffy off the board. Beautiful. Okay, they turned that card sideways. We're swinging 6 into it. This is actually completely ideal right here, guys. So I swung 6 into it. He let it go. Now we're going to pop his Luffy as well. And then I'm going to Dureshi to draw, do a top 5 search and draw 2 cards. He still has 3 life left. So I'm going to pass turn back, and I'm going to use that Nico Robin to trash one of his life cards. He really needs to eat one of his own life cards this turn if he saw what I was doing there. But who knows? A lot of people aren't used to playing against Nico Robin yet, and sometimes on the sim, people don't see what the card is you search up. They don't pay attention to it. But here we go. Let's see what they do. They did a top 5 search with the event, the Three Brothers Bond event, and now they're going to attach 2 to their leader and swing for 7 at me, and then I get an Ovia to draw 3, trash 2. So I'm going to trash those 2 cards I didn't need because I already have a Bonnie in hand if I need that. And now he's going to swing for 8. I'm like, okay, well, we're not going to give him that. We'll 2K out. I should have gave him a beige there. I don't know why I didn't. Play out the Nico Robin, swing for 7. He's losing everything, guys. He's losing like every single card. What is he going to do? Okay, now right here, I'm going to swing for 7. Let's see what he does here. The way he counters out of this attack will determine a lot. Let's see what he got. See if he got any triggers. Okay, just waiting on our opponent right here. Oh, it was a searcher. He did a top search. I attack in for 5. He 1K counters out. I swing in for 7. This is going to cost 2 cards from hand or 3. Okay, 2. And hey, your turn. He's going to need to gain some life this turn, right? And he did have a Gecko Moria, even though he trashed 1. You know, he did have a Gecko Moria. Very nice. Let's see what he can do with it, though. This game's far from over, right? Okay, so right here, I think he does things like in a way where he can't win. Like, he needs to trash my... he has to get rid of one of my bodies. Like, he absolutely has to go 5-cost Luffy, trash it, KO my Kikanojo. He'll draw a card, but I'll gain a life. And then he needs to swing 9 or 11 or whatever's on his leader. He needs to swing that into my Nico Robin. Okay? And he doesn't swing at all. I'm so confused. So he should have at least swung into my Nico Robin, but I'm not sure if it would have mattered too much here. Because now it's going to be swing for 11. Otherwise, it would have been swing for 10, swing for 11. But hey, that could matter, right? That could matter. Let's see what was in his hand, if it would have mattered or not. Okay, he counters out, so it wouldn't have mattered, actually, because he would have countered out of 1 no matter what. Okay. So here we go. It's my opponent's turn. I'm at 3 life. He has another Gecko Moria. This guy had a Gecko Moria in his life and 2 more that he drew off the top of his deck, man. That's crazy. One of the biggest problems I had with playing Black Yellow Luffy, like, you know, ST13 Luffy, what we're seeing here, was me not seeing Gecko Morias, or like maybe seeing 1 a game, or vice versa, not seeing any Sabos a game. And it's just, in that way, it just would frustrate me so much. I'm not saying it would happen often, but every now and then it would happen. And it's like, okay, well, I can't even play my deck because I didn't get the cards I needed. So he's loading up the board here. I don't know what he's supposed to do. He only has 1 blocker. He has no cards in hand. So I'm going to let him KO everything on my board here. I have to be able to counter out of 1 attack. So I take this one. I can't KO anything because they're all, you know, under the effect of Sabo. He takes out my board, but what does that matter, right? So we're going to load up 4, swing 9. He has no cards in hand. He has to give me a blocker, attach 11 up, and he just immediately quits. Okay, so let me just explain what happened at the end there, guys, right here. So in this situation here, I have 1 body on the board, and I have my leader. So with that in mind, he's at 9,000 power. He has 1 blocker, and he has no cards in hand. So I swing for 9 twice, and the game's over, right? Because he has to give me the blocker, and then he has to take the last hit, and that's game. Now, one thing I do want to mention is in this situation, if he somehow could have removed all of my characters, it wouldn't be too bad to add a rush card to the deck, and I'm not running a rush card currently. Okay, so let's go to the next game. And remember, guys, try to keep an open mind. We're trying to figure out how to make this deck work. Whoops, I turned the volume on. Let me turn it off, and speed 2x. Full screen, and here we go. We're trying to figure out how to make this deck work. If you guys have a version of the list that runs really well, by all means, post in the comment section below for people to try out. Because Red Yellow Sabo is still my main, my main deck, and I spend the most time trying to build that, and I spend the most time trying to refine that and making it really strong. And it's doing really well. But because of that, I don't have as much time to dedicate to all these different decks that I show off on the channel. But I will say this, when Purple Yellow Nico Robin comes out, I'm probably going to be messing with this leader quite a bit. We'll see what happens, though. I've got some other ideas as well that I might try, like Big Mom Pirates. We'll talk about this when we're breaking down the deck list. I think there might be a decent Big Mom Pirates version of this deck, and maybe even Straw Hat Crew, but we'll talk about that later. Okay, because right now, guys, I'm just running straight triggers. It doesn't matter where they're from, because I'm running Dureshi, where I can search for whatever I need. Okay, so swing 7 into leader. I'm going to trash a card with trigger, the Cracker, from my hand, so that I can ramp a Dawn, and now next turn I'll be on 6 Dawn, and guess what I can do with that? I can make him trash the top card of his life. I'm swinging for 7 with Banish. He probably should just take this if he's smart here, or 2k, 1k if he's trying to preserve his life total. I don't know what he has. He takes it. He loses a 2k counter in the process. I play out the Professor Clover, which does a top 3 search for a trigger card. And it's a 2k counter. That card's really good, guys. We get a 2k counter, and we get to search further and further through our deck with it. They attack in here. I just used the trigger for Dureshi there, because I'm trying to put on the gas here. I'm trying to put on a little bit of, I'm trying to really hit him, trying to knock him down here. Okay, so they end up countering out of that, but they had to lose 1 life from the Nico Robin effect, and now we're off to the races here. This guy's running the 2k counter Beppos, which I don't actually think these are that good, because what you should be doing is ramping, not like messing around with attacking bigger, because I'll just take the hit. Especially being a yellow deck, a lot of yellow decks actually run ways to gain life. Okay, so we're going to swing 7 into life, and remember, guys, this has Banish. So they have to give me 2 cards from their hand, a blocker, or one of their life cards. And they don't get to keep the life card. It goes to the trash. They gave me a 0-cost 3k blocker. Very nice. And I think we're going to swing for 8. Excuse me, we're going to swing for 9, because I think I'm going to play out the 3-cost blocker here. Play out the Jaguar D-Saw. And now it's my opponent's turn. That Jaguar D-Saw card, guys, is extremely good. The only thing that it's lacking is a counter, obviously, because it is, then it would just be broken. It's a 3-cost 5k with blocker and trigger to play the card. So I take that first hit. We do a draw 2 trash one with a Bonnie effect, the Bonnie trigger. Swing for 6. We'll give him a 2k. Guys, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. We had 14k counter in hand. We're chilling, right? We're chilling. And I think I am running 12 2k counters in this deck. And while it is nice to have this many, I do wish I had a few other cards. Okay, nice. We'll just get them with Dureshi. Guys, so Dureshi did a top 5 search. Let me show you guys something real quick. Pause. So Dureshi is a top 5 search for 3, where we can grab a card with trigger. We can grab 2 cards with trigger in it. So I can either get a 2k counter right here, removal, and a card that can attack the board. So it's like, okay, I guess I'll get removal and a 2k counter. I think that's what I choose. And notice I am running the Gum Gum Giants in here, because this is a Straw Hat leader. Okay, we're going to play this card out. We're going to pop the leader, and now we're going to, I think what we're going to do here is, I need to swing 7 with leader first to, like, force cards out of hand, or force the Gum Gum Giant Gavel, or, Gum Gum Giant. Gum Gum Giant Gavel, that's a blue card. Wait a minute. Okay, it is a Straw Hat card, though, okay, in all fairness, I think it is. Okay, we're swinging 7 into 5 here. It's like, dude, if you have the 1-cost counter, you need to use it. The 1-cost Gum Gum Giant here, he needs to use it, but he doesn't want to use it. You know why he doesn't want to use it? Because he won't be able to ramp Dawn. Like, he'll go backwards in Dawn. And that does hurt right now. So now I'm going to swing for 5, and I'm going to sit behind my blocker. Okay, it gives me a 2k counter. Your turn. I have 1 life, and I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13k in counter. Okay, he rests down my blocker. I'm going to take this first hit. It looks like he's going to swing for 7 and then 9. Okay, no, not 5. Definitely not 5, right, guys? Definitely not 5. I would have done 7, 7 and 9. Okay, do that. Whatever just happened there. Swing for 7. We'll 2k, 2k, or 2k, 1k, whatever it was. And now it's our turn. And then they just quit out. Let me pause it. So they just left. I guess they knew they couldn't survive, right? Because it's going to be swing for 7, or excuse me, This turn, I probably would have swung for more than 7, right? Because they had 1 life and 3 cards in hand. So I would have probably swung for 9 with the leader, which was a 4 Dawn investment. And then I still have 6 Dawn left to swing for 7, 7, 8. No way out of it, right? There's just simply no way out of it. And if I had swung 9 first, they wouldn't have gotten out of that because they only have enough to get 2, 9. Okay, we got one more deck, guys. We got one more game. This one's against ST14 Luffy. Okay. I think this was a funny matchup. Okay, guys, we're ending on a funny one. This one was pretty funny, if I remember it correctly. Funny for me, probably not for my opponent. I think my opponent... All right, I'm not going to say anything. I was going to give you guys a spoiler, but... expect a little bit of deja vu on this next turn here, guys. Okay, so we're going to swing for 8 with Banish. Takes it. It's a Sabo. That stinks. Okay, he plays out a Kuzan. That's why you do not play out your characters first when swinging with your leader, okay? Because my life card just took out his Kuzan. He just wasted his turn. Okay, my turn here. I did a top 3 search with Dareshi. I grabbed a Nico, Robin, and a Nami. Watch this, guys. Brand new. This is the best play I've ever seen. Brand new into, you guessed it, the 4th brand new. Best play I've ever seen. No, in all seriousness, so the guy, we were typing over in the, in the little message box, talking about how funny that was, how unfortunate it was. Okay, so I trashed the top card of his life with my Nico Robin. I swing for 7 with my leader Nico Robin. He has to give me a 2K 1K or a 2K 2K to get out of that. And now, honestly, if I'm him, I might just load everything up and start swinging across the board. He swings in. I have nothing but triggers in my deck, except like 3 or 4 cards that are triggers. We're about to look at the deck list in a minute. Swing for 9. And I think right here I need to, just play out a Kikanojo. Excuse me, I do need to keep 1 Dawn active for my Gum Gum Giant. Okay, and right here I think we're going to swing for 7. I'm basically telling this guy, you have to do 2 things next turn. Number 1, you have to remove my character, or all of my characters, and you have to play a blocker. You can't not do one or the other. And it looks like, okay, well, here we go. He's got the Rebecca. He's going to play out the Subaru, -2 the Jaguar D Sol. Okay, and then use Brook to pop it. And now, is he going to be able to KO my my Sanji? The answer is absolutely not. Return 2, trash that, draw 2, plus 4,000, swing 7. We're going to 2K 1K, and that's going to be game. Now, I will say this. He was very close to stabilizing. And if I don't get through this card, then I'm probably just dead anyway, right? So I swing for 6 here, get a 2K counter out of hand. That feels awful. And now we're going to load everything up after popping his character. We'll swing for 9 into 6, and it goes through. Good game to that guy. That was just a really unlucky draw with all of those brand news. I will say this, just like constructive criticism. In that situation, if I have 4 brand news on the board, the game's already an anomaly. I think I would just be swinging all out with the brand news. Like, okay, 2 on each one, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. That would take 4 cards out of my hand. And remember, he gave my opponent 4 cards, unless he whiffed one of the searches or something. Anyway, I'm just saying that for fun. I'm not saying that would have been the right play. It would have just been for fun. Okay, that's it for the games on the sim. We will be doing more purple, yellow, Nico, Robin in the future, but we're not there yet. And this was the list I was running. We didn't see any of the 7 lins, unfortunately. I'm only running 2 of those. I'm only running 4 cards that are not triggers, and that is 2 Lin and 2 Gum Gum Giants. And then if you notice something, guys, like pretty much my entire deck has counters, except a few cards here. Like, we can't count the Gum Gum Giant because that's a counter in and of itself. But other than this one card, look at this, guys. 4, 8, 12. We've got 12 bricks in the deck. 14 if you want to call the Gum Gum Giants a brick. But again, you should be, good players will leave a Dawn active even if they don't have it in their hand. So it's one of those cards where, like, you should be able to get full value from this as make it not a brick. Okay. So real quick, I am running these 2K counters here. Professor Clover, on play if your leader is Nico Robin, look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Reveal and add up to 1 card with trigger to your hand and return the rest of the bottom of your deck in any order. And then Nico Olvia, we already looked at this one. He gives a plus 3,000 buff to lean a turn, but the trigger is what makes this one so good. By the way, the trigger on Professor Clover just activates down play. But this Nico Olvia's trigger is outrageously good. Draw 3, trash 2 if your leader's Nico Robin. Seems good. So 2K, 2K, and 2K. We're running 12 2K counters, and there are room for others as well. Like, not saying we should add more than 12. 12 is a pretty standard number, but there are other options, I should say. Satori's just a good trigger card that comes into play. Frankie's a good 2K counter that comes into play. Potentially. Not always, right? You have to be at 1 or less life. And yeah, that's probably it. I don't think we have to consider even running a card like Flampe in a deck like this. Because, especially in this version, I'm not exactly running any life gain unless they choose to give me life with Lin. So I don't really think that... check something real quick. Okay, yeah, we're good. I don't really think that... where was I? Flampe. I don't really think Flampe is the best for this deck, especially since we're running Dureshi already. Okay. Well, yeah, that's pretty much it for this list, guys. Like, again, it's just running a bunch of trigger... It's running all triggers with the exception of 4. 2 Linlins and 2 Giant Gavels. Or two giant. I keep calling it Giant Gavel. Okay. Now, one more thing I want to look at. I do think there might be an option to mess around with a... not Linlin. If I type in big... Yeah, here we go. There might be a world in which we try to mess with, like, the Perospero... You know, basically the Big Mom Pirate stuff. Because, hear me out, guys. This effect is totally generic. Banish is banish, just period. But then you may trash one card with a trigger from your hand... and then Rampadon rested. So there are quite a few. Remember, guys, Big Mom Pirates is like the original deck with all the triggers in it. Right now, there's a lot more. But back when Yellow first came out in OP-03, this was like your trigger deck, right? This was like trigger dot deck. We've got 4 Perosporos we could add. We're already running the Charlotte Crackers. What else? We're already running the Charlotte Linlins. We could run cards like Brule if we have to. I'm not saying it's a great choice, but it's not. There's an option there. There is a new cracker to mess around with as well. This new one here, it's a 4-cost 5K, and it has once per turn. When this character would be KO'd by an effect, you may instead trash the top card of your life. Not saying we should run it, but there's an option there. This is a 2K counter, of course, we could be using that lets us look at cards. Let me see if it's locked. Look at the top card of your or your opponent's life and put it back on the top or bottom of the life pile. Then add this to your hand. Yeah, so it's not even locked. So that's another card we could search up potentially. And who knows? Okay, bear with me. What if we had 1 or 2 of these in the deck, guys? Because hear me out. In this deck, it's like never a dead card, right? Because we could trash it with our leader effect to ramp Dawn, and we could also use it with Nami or a card like Jewelry Bonnie for running that as well. But this card, guys, hear me out. Listen to this card, guys. Rest the stage. You may add 1 card from the top or bottom of your life area to your hand. Okay, you're going to add the top or bottom card of your life to your hand, and then place up to 1 of your characters with a cost of 3 on top of the owner's life area face up. Now, understand, you're not gaining life. You're taking 1 life and putting in 1 from the board. It's not from your hand. It has to be a card that's in play. But think about it like this, guys. What if we just swung all out? Say we swung for 5 with Jory Bonnie, we swung for 7 with a leader, we swung for 7 with something else, and we have 2 Dawn left, and we already get the effect of the Jory Bonnie. Okay, well, why don't we just throw the Jory Bonnie into our life and just take a card from there, and then we'll, again, we don't lose a life, but we don't gain a life. We just keep it normal, and we get the full effect from the Jory Bonnie at that point to draw 2 trash 1, and from when it was in play, potentially. It also lets us do things like with Jaguar D Sol. Like, say we swing aggressively with Jaguar D Sol. Okay, no problem. Now we're going to life the card. And then last but not least, it also allows us to get further value from a card like Beige. And what were all the costs of those cards? 3, 3, and 3. Okay, perfect. That goes right along with our Nico Robin as well. So it's kind of like a match made in heaven. And at that point, like I said, if we did choose to make this deck a little more Big Mom Pirates flavor, well, now all of a sudden we also have access to a card like Charlotte Perospero. What are some other 3-cost cards? There might be some other cards from Land of Wano we can mess with as well at that point. Let me see something. Let me do Wano instead. I think I messed that up. Okay, I think this is a better search. Okay. Like Kawamatsu, for example. If your opponent has 3 or less life cards, play this card from the trigger, just like Hikanojo. I'm just saying there are options. Let me just say, oh, and there's also one more option that I really like with this 3-cost package we're messing with. A card that I've been, me and my buddy Mike, we've been talking about this all the time. Certain card called Brahm here. Guys, read that trigger carefully. That trigger is so strong. That trigger is actually so strong. And if you can start like pushing, like if you can, attack with this guy first, you got the full value from him, and if you have to activate main, to get rid of stages and stuff, that's fine. But if you're just trying to search for more answers in your deck and trying to get cards from your life to see what you have, no problem. If you have this card in play or one of the other 3-cost cards we were talking about, take a card with Big Mama Chanter. Let me go back to it's called Queen Mama Chanter. With this card right here, you're going to be able to rest the stage and do what we just said. Where it's like, okay, we'll just take a card from our life and then replace it with a card that can just trigger go into play. Seems good. It does seem good. Now, unfortunately, some cards we're not going to have access to is the Revo Army stuff, which makes me very, very frustrated because you guys know I've been on a red, yellow, Sabo, Revo Army style kick here. And man, this card sure would be good. I was actually playing this card in the deck for a while in purple, yellow, Nico Robin, but not being able to activate the trigger just feels so terrible. It's still a card you can cheat out with your Nico Robin character. Remember, this can play up to any one cost 3 or less yellow character from your hand. So I can still cheat this card out with the Nico Robin trigger potentially. And it is just a 3 cost 4K, 1K counter blocker. Like, you know, we can always use that. But unfortunately, since we don't have access to the trigger, it's almost not worth playing. I mean, it's not ever not worth playing. Like, let me say that. It's always a 1K counter in hand or a blocker on the field or a trigger we can trash with our leader effect or a trigger we can trash with our Nami effect or a blocker we can search it with Dureshi. That's why I was running the card before. Like, we actually can get it in so many ways. But it just frustrates me so much. Like, why did they have to leader lock that part? Like, why not just make it, you know, where if you and your opponent's life totals are 5 or less, play this card. Maybe it'd have been too strong then. I don't know. Maybe it may have been too powerful. You guys tell me what y'all think. But yeah, that's about it. I am going to talk about one more direction for the deck. Actually, 2 more. And it's more of the Straw Hat stuff. The thing about Straw Hat is there are actually more Straw Hat cards than you might expect in the yellow card pool. But the problem is, well, I mean, I don't want to say the problem. There's not a problem with them. They're just a little bit weird in the way that they are. I will mess around with a Straw Hat deck eventually, but here's why I say that. This is what frustrates me. If I were to make a Straw Hat deck, I would be running Zoro, because I can always ramp to 4. Now, well, actually, hang on. I can ramp to 4, but I wouldn't be able to use the effect right away. I wouldn't be able to play this card on 4 going first as Nico Robin, because the Dawn comes into play rested. But still, I would run 4 of this card Zoro. Well, it can only search up cards that are purple, Straw Hat cards that are purple. So if that's the case, well, now I have to go deeper into the purple card pool for Straw Hats. Well, guess what? There's just not many purple Straw Hat cards that are triggers. And if I'm losing my triggers, well, now I'm losing the consistency of my when attacking Ramp of Dawn. If I'm losing the consistency of my ramp, well, now I don't have access to cards like this as, you know, as consistently. Sorry for the repetitiveness, but you guys know what I'm trying to say. It is what it is. It's not a big deal, that's for sure. It's not like the worst thing in the world, because I do think we probably could still make like a decent purple-yellow Straw Hat type of deck, and maybe instead of running this Zoro here, maybe we run the event. Where is the event? There's a searcher event. Why don't I see it? I think it's a 4 Emperors, or it's Land of Wano. That's interesting. But anyway, this is the one I was talking about. It's a 1-cost event searcher here. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck and reveal up to 1 Straw Hat, Kid Pirates, or Heart Pirates type of card and add it to your hand. Then place the rest in the back of the bottom of your deck in any order. This card would actually be pretty good, but again, now it's like we're sacrificing a body though to get this effect. But who knows? It might be worth it in the end. We'll have to see. Let me see what Dureshi is real quick. This is Ohara. Okay, very good. So that's about it, guys. Like I said, the last one. Well, I said we were gonna go over 2. I think the other option. So you know, the one we just talked about was a Straw Hat type of deck. I'm just not a huge fan because it doesn't really do well with our leader effect. And if that's the case, I mean, I guess there still is an option though. Like hear me out for a second, guys. Let me go back to the Straw Hat stuff before we move on. There probably still is an option to just run, like I said, run the event searcher and run the Zoro, and just don't worry about ramping. Like maybe we just build a purple-yellow Straw Hat deck that might ramp every now and then from a card like Onami, or from the this Nami, or from this Luffy, or from this Frankie, because there still are a few decent triggers in there we would want to add no matter what. But you see how it becomes inconsistent. It's like, okay, do we have enough triggers in our hand, and do we have enough purple cards in our deck? It becomes really, or enough triggers in our deck and purple cards in our deck. It just becomes kind of weird to balance, but there's still an option there. And then last but not least, I think there's just like basically just a ramp version. Like for example, you'd run the Bon Cray Benthams, or Mr. 2 Bon Clays. You would just run these. The Zoro, this guy, the 3 cost. Run this and just run straight ramp, like maybe 2 or 3 different ramp cards, and then just try to get straight, you know, and a bunch of triggers so you can consistently ramp with your leader as well. And then basically what you would do is just try to get straight to your 8 and 9 and 10 cost characters. Like you would try to get to your Kaidos or your 9 Lins or your any of these 4 right here. And let me see if I type in 10, it doesn't work very well. But you guys, we can't run Charlotte Linlin, but we can run like, we can run Luffy, but I don't think this is a card we want to run in Nico Robin. So Kaido Linlin would be interesting. Kaido and Linlin, that would be a little bit interesting, but this card's kind of, in my experience, this card has been very lackluster because you're basically just giving up a turn. Who knows, in the future, maybe there will be a way to consistently get this card into play. But as is, you know, as is, not so much, right? Not so much. Okay, well, I think that's about it, guys. I think that's it. Like I said, the ramp version, I've spent the least amount of time thinking about because I'm not trying to ramp, right? I would much rather... I've been on a trigger aggro kick lately, guys, and this is what it looks like. This deck that you see on the screen here and what we saw in the games. I want you guys to tell me what y'all think in the comment section below. What way do you think we should build the deck? I'm not saying that I'm going to build it that way, but I'm saying what are some of y'all's thoughts? I'm like, hey, maybe we should build it like this or like this or like that or like this. Because I will say, like with the just chiming off of the Big Mom Pirates version, there is a decent Sky Island package in the game currently that has quite a few triggers, right? Your Shura, your Satori, the Braum we were just looking at. Where did he go? Right here. Like this Braum, there's an entire package we could run with like the upper yard type of package here, where we run the Braum. We could potentially run like the Kamakiri. I don't think this card's great, but you can place a one-call stage at the bottom of its owner's deck, so you can even hit other stages, and then KO up to one of your opponent's cost 2 or lower characters. It's better than nothing. It's not great, but it's something. But there is a decent little package here with a lot of triggers, right? Because maybe at that point you run the did someone say Kami card here, cheat out some Enels or something. We'll see. I don't know. I'm not saying this is the way to go. I'm just giving ideas, guys. We're just trying to brainstorm. Could be something here, might not be. All right, I'm done. Another thing too, what do you guys think about Gadatsu? That's the one last thing I want to say is, what do you guys think about Gadatsu? Because we did look at that in the other list we were checking out, and I'll say this right now. I think the card is pretty good. Maybe it's just meant to help you deal with like decks that go wide fast, like Blue Doflamingo or something like that. But otherwise, I'm trying to pretty aggressively hit my opponent's life, and I'm forcing so many cards out of their hand or from their life. It's kind of hard for me to actually get full value from Gadatsu. But against specific matchups, like maybe Zuro or maybe Blue Doflamingo, I think Gadatsu is actually a really strong card. But at the same time, we already have Nami. Like, I feel like we might not need the Gadatsu. All right, I'm done. I'm done rambling. You guys tell me what y'all think in the comment section below. Okay, so big shout out to everybody who supports the channel. Let me move my face camera down. Big shout out to everybody who supports the channel, guys. If you're just liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting, or viewing, thank you so much. You're helping me out more than you know. Big shout out to all the people who bought the playmat. Hope you guys are enjoying that. And then last but not least, all the patrons. Thank you guys so much for helping me out, just donating to me. Just trying to keep the dream alive, right? Trying to keep the channel going and all that good stuff. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please do not forget to like and subscribe. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please put them in the comment section below. I'm really curious to see what you guys have to say about this leader and what ideas you guys have been brewing at home. That's why I make videos like this, guys. This is not a complete list. Some people are going to be like, hey, why aren't you running this card? Why aren't you running this card? Probably because I don't know about it. So just give me some ideas down there, guys. Give me some ideas. Or like, not that I don't know about the card. I probably know every card in the game right now. But like, I probably haven't thought about it with the deck. So give me some ideas down there, guys. All right. Hope y'all enjoyed. Until next time, peace.